guys of the EFL Fantasy Podcast. My name is Jamie.
My name is Angus.
And my name is Dan.
It's been that long since I've recorded, I forgot what the intro was, so we'll make do with that one. How are you both doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Jamie. I would say excited to be back at it, but we're going to cover our team shortly, and excited is not the right word.
You, Dan?
I'm doing all right. I wasn't as high as I was a few weeks ago, but I'm sticking around just outside the top 300. So, and also Luton won, so we're climbing the table now. Only easy game this week. Sheffield United at home.
Well, my team's rubbish. My Gaffr team's rubbish. We're now recording on Tuesday night. When we didn't do it Sunday, I was thankful, and then we're supposed to have gone on Monday. But you were unavailable, Dan, so we said Tuesday. I was like, oh, thank God for that. And then today, I was like, oh, I've got to talk about Gaffr tonight. It's not going well for me, but we'll get into that in a second. We'll start with you, Angus. How did game week 5 go for you? I keep thinking there's only been 4 game weeks as well.
Yeah, no, I think people will have seen my when I tweeted out about my game week. I think I summed up my team quite well when I said this team is stupid. So I got 42 minus 4. And I think the best way to sum up my game week is, as part of a hit, I bought Ian Maatsen and vice-captained him. So that went amazingly well. I gambled on selling Aarons and Bree, both of whom kept clean sheets. I brought in Ahmed Hodzic, who at least got a clean sheet himself. It was just the Maatsen disaster. So that was fun. I managed to dodge all his points, thought, right, got to end this. And yeah, that happened. Captain Jed Wallace, West Brom score 5. He doesn't have a return in there. So that was wonderful. Did at least have Swift and Chair. Three forwards scored 4 points between them. Yeah, it's all great. Game week rank of 5k. And yeah, that's about it.
Well, you've made me feel slightly better, Angus. I'm not going to lie. God, I've had a few bad weeks. Been a couple of weeks that nobody knows where I'm at with my team. It's been hard the last couple of weeks. I've been that busy with Whitland's cricket and stuff. A season's finally come to an end. I just don't know where I'm at the moment. So I finished on 52 points for this week, which I was quite disappointed by. Johansson in goal for 4 points. He's done all right for me, actually. I'm quite happy with the Johansson pick that I started the season with. Brady with a 5. He's been, I can't moan about Brady since I bought him in game week 3. I brought Maatsen in as well this week, but it was just for time and he was injured. So a lovely -2 there. And then my double Borough defence, Jones and Giles. I did vice-captain Giles. After watching him against Stoke, I was like, that return is going to come. He got me 9, Jones got me 3. My midfield was a bit it's a miss, shall we say. I too had Swift and Chair for 11 and 10, but I also had James McLean with 3 and Pritchard with 2. Captain Vyman for 4 points, and I started Sims up front, and obviously I brought Sims in rather than Stewart. And of course, Stewart's the one who gets the goals, which Dan did warn me about. 3 points. Not a lot to shout about, really. So I'm just want the transfer window to shut and then hopefully settle down and get these boosts right. And hopefully my season will pick up. But I'm ranked at 2.6k. It's not going well at all. Dan, you've done better, we hope.
Yeah. I got 55 minus 4 this game week. My transfers were Timon and Pookie out for Maatsen and Grant. Scorers, I got Bree for 6, Aarons for 7, Swift for 11, and Dye came off the bench for 12. Captain Grant for 10, and Vice Captain Vyman. It was weird. Before the game updated overnight, and I was on like 60 odd points. So I logged on in the morning, and I dropped about 10 points, I think, from bonus and things like that. So yeah, that was a red arrow. I'm now 302, but like you guys, I haven't played any boosts, so I'm in quite a good position at the minute.
Yeah, I definitely swap shoes with you, Dan. I'm not going to lie. And then the pod team, how did we do against the guys on Gaffers and the Gaffr community team?
So we got 60 points.
Nice.
So the pod team beat all of us. And that was good enough for another win. The community team scored 50, and guys on Gaffr on their overhaul scored 59. So we won by 1 point.
They all count.
Yeah. Still haven't used
And
any boosts in that.
They've used all three.
Yeah. We had Bree for 6, Aaron's for 7, Maatsen for -2, Jones for 3. We had Swift 11, Chair 10, and Ogbene 9. We captained Grant, which was 10 points, vice captain Vyman for 3, and we had Brereton Diaz for 1. First sub actually was Alan Campbell on 12. But the pod team on a green hour up to 599.
And we keep marching forward.
Yeah.
It's always nice to get a win against them guys. Right, should we talk about some games then from the weekend?
Let's do it.
Yes, this.
Right, okay, so we'll start then with Burnley 3, Blackpool 3, Dan. Obviously, the major talking point here is probably the sending off of Maatsen from a Gaffr point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so obviously it was 3-3. Teller started his first game and got 2 goals. J-Rod started up front again, so it looks like he's now number 1 choice. I went Grant over him this week because I was a bit concerned with him just coming back from injury, but we're recording this Carabao Cup night on Tuesday, and Barnes has started, so it looks like J-Rod's number 1 for our first choice. Yeah, they went 2-0 up quite early, and then they gave away a silly goal. But the main news, like you said, was Maatsen getting a stupid red card. He got fouled on the counter, and he basically just got up and basically just shoved the guy full pelt in the face. So yeah, it's annoying. It's a 3-game ban, but because they're in the cup, it's only going to be two game weeks. So I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm 50-50 on whether to keep him or to sell him.
Well, you've just stole the question out of my mouth because I was going to ask that. Because obviously I've literally only just brought him in as well. So it's really, really annoying. I don't know. That's why I was going to ask you to, Angus, what are your thoughts about it?
I mean, first, credit to him for probably the stupidest red card we're going to see this season. Again, I've just bought him, and I'm just looking at him like, what an idiot. I've got a few players in my team that I want to go, so he might be one that sticks around, and I just hold him for the 2 game weeks. But the only issue I have there is I'm slightly concerned, given the nature of the red card, that Company might sort of not bring him straight back.
That is a good point, actually, because it wasn't just, a mistimed tackle or something. He's gone WWE on him, hasn't he? So, Company's not going to be happy with that, especially at that point in the game where Blackpool, they've pulled it back.
Yeah.
They threw that lead away. He's not going to be happy at all, is he?
No, so I'm not saying that he definitely won't come back in for people who are considering it, but it's just something that's there in the back of my mind in terms of debating, just sort of holding him through, is does he come straight back in? But he might stay just because there's other people that I might want to get rid of instead. So, but in a perfect world, I'd probably be getting rid now and then potentially bringing him back sort of down the line.
If I'd had 5 playing defenders, decent defenders, I think I'd hold. But I've got Kyoso, who's been sitting on my bench all season. so I don't really want to be just playing with 3 defenders over the next 2 weeks. So I think I'm going to have to be forced into moving him on, which is quite annoying considering the state of the rest of my team. It's not ideal, really.
It's a bit different with me because I've got about 4 million in the bank. I've got Till. I can just bench Maatsen, maybe bring in Brady, and still have 4 playing defenders. So I could do it that way.
I'm probably going to take the -4 and get rid of because I didn't even realise how much money I've got in the bank. I've got 7.9.
You need to spend some of that money. I mean, you
I
might climb up the
genuinely
ranks.
don't know how I've done this. Oh, wow.
You don't get extra points every million in your bank, Jamie.
That's the mistake.
How have I got to that point?
That makes it even worse that you went Sims over Stewart with that money in the bank.
That move I didn't do for the money. Stupidly, I've been trying to make decisions based on stats, and I'm never going to do that again. I'm not even going to get into it about stats, what I think about it, but yeah, Sims' numbers were really good. But saying that, though, obviously I watched him live on Saturday. We'll get on to that game later on, but I was really impressed by him. Really, really top player. But yeah, back to Burnley, the talking points. Any more talking points other than Maatsen that you think's useful?
What about J-Rod and Teller? I think Rodriguez, Barnes surely ain't going to be too much competition.
No, he's rubbish.
Yeah, so you'd like to think that he plays most minutes, and I think he's 9 million. I think that a lot of people, if they haven't sold Pookie, can easily go down to that. And like I said, I did debate about him, but I just went for Grant just because of the uncertainty with the injury, him coming back from injury. What about Teller? He 2 great finishes, obviously first start, so we don't know if it's a flash in the pan, but 7-1.
I'm a little bit concerned about that because he's already been in and out and in, so it's sort of like until I see probably a little bit more reliability in his starts, I wouldn't go there. But he's a good option. We all, we've all seen the talent he's shown at Southampton, and so in theory he should be able to sort of stand out at this level, and it's a good start. But I'd probably wait slightly longer personally.
Yeah, I do think I'm going to go there. Brownhill would be more of a priority for me if I was going to go a Burnley midfielder. Another good goal here at the weekend, but his numbers are pretty good. And he's cheap, so obviously I like saving money. So obviously Brownhill is a good option to have. It's a tough one though because we saw Burnley in that first game against Huddersfield, that first half especially, really, really good. But then I know it's early days, but they're sitting down in 16th. It's quite hard to tell at the moment, isn't it, if we want them assets or not?
Yeah, I think that's the tough thing, and I probably bought Maatsen for the wrong reasons, where it's sort of watching other people get points and being like, I can't deal with that anymore, and now it's sort of like I should have just stayed away, but you weren't to know he was going to do that. But it's tough to know where to go with the other ones aside from. I do think Brownhill, just because the value is, I can't really argue with it as a pick.
Okay, and before we move on to the next game, then anything worth noting on Blackpool? Gaffr, from a Gaffr point of view?
I thought it was a good fight back, but I think we've mentioned a few times we need to see if Boller's there after the transfer window, because if he is, he's one of these players in that price bracket where he's talisman. So if they get a good run of fixtures, he could be an option. I know you like him, Jamie.
Yeah, top player. He could definitely play for any of the championship clubs, I think, personally. I think he's really good. Angus, any from you on Blackpool before we move on?
I don't think so.
No.
The Corbianu, maybe. I think he did well in League One last season. Obviously, he's been gifted the goal here, but he could potentially be interesting as well.
Okay, next game then. West Brom 5, Hull 2, Angus. Somebody scored 2, didn't they? I did hear his name on the highlights, and I kept repeating it. And I thought, oh, that's stuck now. I can say his name, and I've just read it, and I can't say it. So, what are your thoughts about this game?
Yeah, so obviously we've been saying for a while actually that, and I've been discussing it with other people as well, that West Brom getting a hatful felt like it was coming against someone, and obviously it's come against Hull, who, it felt like it might have been coming against them with sort of their XG allowed, one of the worst defenses by the numbers in the league, and that's ended up happening. I mean, the finish for the own goal it's a pretty good one to start off with. But it was just hilarious when you sort of particularly, I mean, it was hilarious and it wasn't hilarious as a Jed Wallace owner, where you're looking at some of the returns that come in and you're seeing, like, obviously, Swift scored. I had him, so that wasn't so bad, but it's Dean Garner with the assist. But then you're seeing like Darnell Furlong and Dara O'Shea popping up with goals, and it's just like, what is going on? Obviously, Carlin Grant got his penalty, which after Townsend was fouled. So you start adding all these up, and it's like Jed Wallace is basically the only person in the team that hasn't returned in some way. I think the central midfielders might have not as well, but it all came together for them really, and this sort of showed what they're capable of. There will be some games where they put 4 or 5 past a team. That being said, I think it was interesting down the other end. Hull did get at them a little bit. It's different when they're sort of like, no, we're just gonna, put a hatful past you. But your favourite to say Estupinian with 2 goals, Tete with the assist on both of them. I thought the finish actually for the second one, well, both the strength he showed, I think it was up against Ajayi, to just sort of hand him off like he was nothing and then finish into the far corner. That's the sort of thing that you look at and you're like, yeah, that's interesting. That's sort of a real sign, a real positive sign, if he's able to show the sort of physicality to match up with one of the stronger defenders in the league, and then the technique. I think he's taken to the Championship well so far. So he's sort of the one story from the whole side, I think.
How much is he now?
6. Has he gone up? Is he 6'6" now?
Yeah, he's 6'6".
6'6". 4 goals then for the season. Coventry at home, QPR away, Sheffield United at home, and Cardiff away in his next 4. Do you think he's a good option?
Yeah, I think so. I think part of it is that price. That you're willing to accept that sometimes he might not score as many when you're sort of going cheaper. It's the same as someone like Stewart. Both of them, I think, are showing up as viable at the moment. But you look at the quality of opposition there, but he's just scored against the likes of West Brom. It's not like he's racking up the goals against sort of the bad team. So I do think he's an option.
And what about West Brom assets then? Because obviously, a lot of people moving over to West Brom players now. I know Dan brought Grant in. Anybody catching your eye from West Brom who you keeping an eye on?
I mean, we've discussed Grant extensively. I think, Swift got his goal here. I know sort of a lot of people have been talking about Dean Garner. I think his assist here is a little bit generous. He just plays a square pass and sort of John Swift puts it in the corner. But he's been looking very good the last few, and I do think with the sort of downgrade in price as well, the saving in price, for people like you who are looking to rack up that money in the bank, he's a good option. But I also think he's just genuinely playing really well at the moment, and so obviously playing well as an attacker in a team like West Brom, you're naturally going to gravitate towards that.
They've got
I think they're all good.
a nice little run, haven't they? At the minute, well, they've got Huddersfield next away, and then they go to Wigan away. They do face Birmingham at home, but then go to Coventry away, and then Birmingham at home. So they've got a nice little run in there. So, Dan, your thoughts on either the sides? Start with West Brom.
Like Angus said, I think this has been coming, hammering aside. Bit disappointed having Grant and only getting a penalty return. So obviously only 3 points for a penalty and then no bonus. I do have Swift, so it was nice for him to return again because a lot of people have been moving from Swift to Wallace or getting them both in. And Wallace was just ticking over. But it looks like Swift has the more goal threat, I'd say. I think that's his second goal of the season. And Dean Garner's the one, isn't he? He's probably the one who's most likely to get rotated, though. You still have Phillips and Robinson and Reach about. But at 7.6, maybe it's worth the risk. But I'm not going to triple up. I've got the double, and I'm quite happy with that.
And neither of you considering any defensive options?
No, we've been over this before, Angus, haven't we? We just think that the attacking options are going to be so good that the defenders aren't going to pick up bonus unless they get an goal or an assist.
Yeah, I mean, I've briefly considered sort of Darnell Furlong when I've been looking around, particularly with this Maatsen issue. I wouldn't go to Townsend because he's that bit extra, so there's just no real use in it at this point. But yeah, I'm not totally sold at the moment on one of the defenders.
Okay, let's go to the next game then, and it's Sheffield United 3, Blackburn 0. Dan, major talk about NDI coming on, scoring 2.
Yeah.
Brilliant first goal. What a finish that was. And talk us through this game.
Yeah, so 3-0. As you mentioned, Bernie and Cadra started up front and Brewster and Ndai was benched. This has been a bit of a worry. I did bring NDI in a couple of game weeks before this week, and he hadn't done much, and then he got benched, and I was like, oh no, because you know he's coming on because of the 5 subs, and then for him to, and my first sub was Bene, and he'd already scored, so I was like, oh no, I'm going to come on for like 1 point, and then got 9 points on the bench, but then he scored 2, so yeah, I think he's a good option, but he could be frustrating. Like he will get subbed off between 60 and 80 minutes. He will have the odd game in a 3-game week where he don't play, but I think he is gradually becoming the main man at Sheffield United. They absolutely battered Blackburn here. They had created 6 big chances. McBurney missed a couple of great chances. Blackburn went to 3 at the back and played Pickering left-sided centre-back in this match and brought Eden in. Hedges was injured. That seemed out of the blue. I know you weren't too happy about that, Jamie.
I only brought him in like 2 game weeks ago. I was like, oh, brilliant. Bent and then injured. That's that nice one.
But yeah, they've got that crazy stat at home where they've only conceded like 6 goals in about 16 games or something. It's ridiculous. So I know Angus jumped on the centre back, didn't you, Angus?
Yeah, I think Jamie referred to him in the chat as him.
Yeah, I'm not even going to try that one at all.
I'd sort of picked him out, obviously, in his first game. For those who don't know, I'm talking about Ahmed Odzic. In the first game, he'd got bonus against Millwall, and then obviously had the big game against Sunderland, which you wonder a little bit. They went down to 10 men. How much was that a factor? But he's been part of the clean sheet here, and I think I saw he would have been in the bonus if he hadn't got himself booked. So I'm quite happy with him at this point.
but don't start showing off because you can say his name effortless.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
casual, as you say.
I can't bring points to the show. I might as well bring something.
Like you're fluent in Bosnian. He is Bosnian, isn't he?
A Bosnian Swede, I think.
Oh, nice. So assets going forward then. Obviously, you brought him in, Angus. I will try to learn his name for future game weeks. Anybody else catching your eye?
Yeah, so I mentioned John Jacobson. He asked me for advice on his overhaul, and I mentioned, and this was before the Sunderland game. I mentioned Ahmed Hodzic and Max Lowe, who obviously scored in that game. And
Did he
for the
take your
moment,
advice?
it looks, and he didn't buy either of them. But Max Lowe for the moment looks like he's going to stay in that team. I think I saw something of him talking about how Heckingbottom had said to him he was going to have a chance and he needed to take it. And at the moment, it looks like he is taking it. So obviously, I think he's still at 5.5, but his potential route into that
5,
team
6.
5.6. But that's still sort of the cheapest starting defender you'll get for them.
Well, he was one we were discussing in pre-season where we said if we knew he was able to start, he'd be a great option.
Yeah.
So that's possibly positive. Worth keeping an eye on. That could be a good option for me, getting rid of Maatsen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing there, isn't it? And
you save some money.
Yeah.
Even more money put in the bank.
Norwood obviously scored a great free kick, but aside from those set piece returns, he's not going to get you much. So he's not really worth it, I don't think. McBurney almost showed the good and the bad in that he tried hard, he got in the right positions, he did a lot of good things in terms of winning the ball back, hold up play and everything, but he's not very good at the part where you put the ball in the goal. So
yeah, he's crap. What was the stat on the highlights earlier on? I watched them today. He hasn't scored a league goal since December 20. Is that right?
I think so. Yeah, it's something like that.
That is shocking. That is absolutely shocking.
I'm not saying anything because we play him on Friday and he'll score against us.
He's getting paid to do that. I have to go to work for 40 hours every week, and he's getting paid to not score goals. It's
yeah, but I mean, I think it's the attackers again, though, isn't it? I mean, Ndiaye obviously he's come off the bench to get 2 goals. The first goal, a part of me thinks that shouldn't be his goal. It's going in and it's a deflection. Surely that should be a Sander Berger goal. If it hits a defender and goes in, it's being given as a Berger goal.
No, it's clearly a goal. It's clearly a goal.
That struck me as slightly weird because if that hits a defender in the same situation and goes in, they're probably giving it as a Berger goal.
Yeah, because it was on target still, wasn't it?
So, so he's gone from that where it's a very fortunate goal. He's even trying to get out the way and it hits him and goes in, to the outstanding with the second goal where it's just like he picks up the ball in his own half and carries it downfield and still a good finish at the end of it on his weaker foot.
Yeah.
I'm annoyed he took his shirt off. Bonus.
But the other one to mention, obviously, talking about whether he should have had a goal, is Sander Berger again. I think part of it is they have to get to the end of the window with him still at the club. So I wouldn't go to him yet, but he could be a good option.
I'm just worried that he will end up playing some games a bit further back because I watched the Sunderland game and he didn't do much attacking wise until they brought on Fleck and then he looked like a really good option.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I think
that's the issue.
He's likely to play deeper, but I do think there's still a potential for returns there. So I wouldn't have it like he's not on the same level as Ndiaye as an option for me, but I think you could still do worse than him.
Okay, and Dan, any interest in any Blackburn assets?
No. We mentioned that they were massively overachieving their data, and now it's just catching back up with them. So, no, none on the radar now.
No, I think it's. I think I might have to get rid of Hedges as well. I think that might have been a bad move. This is why you don't look at that XG stuff and all that kind of stuff because his
it
numbers
couldn't
were really
predict
good.
his tight hamstring.
No, so yeah, he's going to have to go. Another one. Right, we'll move on then. Friday night's game, Norwich 2, Millwall 0, Angus. Obviously, the headlines from this game was Pukki was benched and Josh Sargent started up front. He obviously grabbed a brace. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there was a lot of talk about whether Pukki was going to be involved. We knew he wouldn't start, but with Dean Smith saying the day before that he couldn't get his balloon foot in a football boot. So I was slightly surprised actually to see him even on the bench. As a non-owner, him coming on for about 8 minutes at the end was delightful.
It was.
But yeah, I mean, Josh Sargent, obviously the headline grabber with the 2 goals. I thought it was a really good give and go with Cenani for the first goal, and he's rocketed it past Bialkowski before he even has a chance to react, really. And the last 2 or 3, he does look like a man with much more confidence. The second goal, it's so weak from Scott Malone. I mean, the 2 of them managing to let the ball bounce multiple times without actually dealing with it, him and McNamara, was incredible. And then he almost gets into desperation mode, goes down, and it's not a foul. There might be slight contact, but it's really not a foul. And Sargent goes through and puts it away nicely. I have been sort of joking that last season Josh Sargent scored 2 goals in a game and didn't score again. But he looks inspired at the moment. You could make a lot of jokes about maybe he's found his level in the Championship, but at the moment it's hard to see him sort of dropping out the team. I mean, I still think that Pukki is probably going to come in as well. I think there's a couple of people that could be replaced in that team, to be honest. So I wouldn't say it's an either or, but Sargent is certainly sort of the main man at the moment.
Potential asset there?
I think so. I'm a little bit concerned about what they do. I mean, obviously he's done well leading the line in these couple of games, but Sargent is a bit more sort of diverse in what he can do than Pukki. So, it wouldn't surprise me if they had Sargent play off Pukki, either in behind or to the left of him, if they want to get both in the team, rather than Pukki playing in one of those other positions. So that's the only thing that concerned me slightly, but at the moment he's certainly not coming out of the team. So I think you could do much worse than Josh Sargent at this point, which feels really strange to say.
It does actually, yeah. Dan, talking in Norwich, any assets you're keeping an eye on?
I like Daniel Cenani. He done quite well at Huddersfield, but he wasn't very consistent. But I think with better players, he seems to get the best out of him. Got an assist against Millwall, 6 key passes. So yeah, he's someone who I'm thinking about bringing in over the next few game weeks, I think.
See, I thought he was crap. I thought he got better as the game went on, but he looked like a 16-year-old had just been given his debut. Just the way he ran, he wasn't composed. I thought, but I did think he got better as the game went on. Defensively, obviously, Angus, you got rid of Max Aarons. Do you see that as a regret? I know it's only 1 week on, so you'll judge it off a larger time scale, but do you think because I know he's going to be highly owned, I imagine, so is it one people should keep or one that should be looking at?
Yes and no. I mean, obviously, he's kept the clean sheet this week, but primarily with that, I went. It was him to Ahmed Hodzic, so that's very minimal difference this week. I think it's sort of 2 points difference in that move, and it was sort of looking at an area where I could do something potentially different. And I wasn't sure about them. I thought they looked better in that game, although I wonder how much of it was Millwall. After watching the game for a bit, I was like, oh, like that was my one regret that I did it now, because I watched the game for a bit. I was like, oh, Millwall aren't scoring today. Like, I wish I hadn't done that. But otherwise, it's too soon to judge. Like you say, I'm not basing this off sort of 1 week, but I also viewed it that I'm not going to be sort of proud about it if I get sort of a couple of weeks, or even after this weekend, and I'm like, no, that was a mistake. I'll get him back. I'm not sort of set on it. I'll find a way to get him back. So it's not a problem for me.
Do you own him, Dan?
Yeah.
You happy?
For me, yeah, I am. I can see why you might want to get rid, because I'm not sure his attacking potential is up there with some of the other wing backs, but I just think he's just so reliable that he's just basically set and forget, and he'll probably pick up quite a lot of clean sheet points with the odd 1 or 2 bonus here and there. Will get some goals and assists, probably not the same levels as the top lot, but I think he's just a player you don't need to worry about for the whole season if he stays.
Yeah, true. See, I started with Giannulis instead, and then I've just realised when I thought that I'm actually cursed with the left backs. That's Giannulis, Timon injured, Maatsen sent off, Robbie Brady owners. Yeah, Brady owners. I'm sorry, but this weekend as the week he goes off injured. We'll move on to the next game actually then, and it's your team, Dan. Obviously, you went to Swansea and won 2-0. Go on, you might as well talk us through it.
To be honest, there's not much really to talk about Gaffr-wise. For Luton, it's Bree. Just keep Bree. He didn't get any bonus, but he got a clean sheet. Swansea, I would just sell, get rid of them. It was quite easy for Luton. They just let Swansea have the ball and they just passed around 75% possession, but don't actually create anything apart from Pirro had a header when we were 2 up, but we were sitting back then. And what I did find interesting is in the post-match interview with Martin, he basically said that there's no new signings unless they sell someone, and that includes loan signings. So this is their team unless they sell Pirro or Obafemi.
Right, so from a Gaffr point of view then, it's Bree or nobody at Luton.
Yep.
Swansea, you're saying just get rid?
Yep.
Angus, do you agree on the Luton part?
Yeah, I part of my taking a chance on getting rid of Bree was, even though Luton had been solid defensively, I just thought it didn't look right. So I thought it was worth a chance to go to Maatsen instead, but he's still a great option.
And then Swansea, your thoughts on Swansea?
Sell. I mean, I looked at the average position of their team as well, trying to work out if the formation I'd seen was correct, because they had Manning playing right wing back on there, and it's one of the most bizarre average positions you'll see.
I think they did actually
in the middle of the pitch. there's like 2 players opposite the side, and the rest of them are all just in the middle of the pitch. So yeah, it's not great there, and I've got Obafemi, and I might have to hold him again this week, but I'll be looking to get rid of him as soon as possible.
Yeah, I tend to agree. But I got rid of Pirro about 2 weeks ago, but it was one of them when I got rid of him, I was like, he's going to come back and haunt me now. But that doesn't seem to be the case. You even see with that header, Pirro of last season would have absolutely buried that. So I agree there. And we'll move on to the next game then, Angus. This was Bristol City 2, Cardiff 0 on the Sunday. Captain Blank for me with Vyman. But what were your thoughts from a Gaffr point of view?
So I actually really enjoyed this game. I wasn't sure I would, but it was quite an enjoyable watch. I think it started off early with a disappointment Gaffr-wise, because obviously after we discovered Collins from Cardiff was out injured for the season, I was like, okay, let me see how Bagan looks. He went off with a head injury inside the first 15 minutes, I think, after a clash of heads with Alex Scott, so that sort of ruined that from the outset. But no, I thought Bristol City were good. I thought Conway up front looked really bright. He forced a save from Allsop early on. Vyman followed up on the rebound, but it was a tough chance and he couldn't keep it down. The one thing that was evident with them, as we've seen in the first half, was you can still get in behind them. I know we've talked about Naismith as a defender. They got in behind him, sort of sleeping on men running from behind him a couple of times. Watters had a one-on-one in the first half, basically just running in behind Naismith. But Bentley saved. Conway obviously got the first goal, with a Wells assist, a nicely worked goal actually. And he looked bright all game. I do worry he seems like one of the obvious ones to drop out of the team, particularly once Semenyo gets back, but he's certainly making a good case for himself at the moment. And I'm not sure what he's gone up to now. Is it 5-1 or 5-2?
5-2 he is now.
But he looked bright. I thought Wells actually had a decent game as well, but I don't think he'll be in the team sort of longer term. Vyman hit the bar for all the people with him on the captain. It just dropped for him perfectly on the volley, and he caught it so sweetly, and it just smacked off the bar. And it was sort of like, particularly as someone who hadn't captained him or vice captained him but did own him, I was like, actually, that was probably a good thing for me.
Yeah.
The second goal, Atkinson heading in a Naismith free kick. Low header, middle of the area, basically unmarked. Not sure what Cardiff were doing there. I think Harris and Colwill, when they came on, particularly Colwill, made a big difference. And they got in behind Naismith again, but for another one-on-one, but couldn't score. So that's the one sort of warning for people who own Bristol City defenders. I think it's not necessarily always going to be Naismith, but Cardiff were still getting in behind them a few times, but just couldn't take a chance. But Bristol City were definitely the better team in this. I mean, the other thing was you could debate whether they should have had a penalty. De Silva, for no apparent reason, with the ball in the air, just barred Romeo in the back. Romeo went down. It was possibly a little bit soft, but it was just such a bizarre chance to take from De Silva that they were probably slightly lucky to come away from this with a clean sheet. But I mean, Vyman, no problem. Hits the bar, has a goal disallowed. I mean, he was well offside, but still, he looked bright. Conway, I think, is a very real option. Naismith, yes, they're going to concede goals, but we know the set piece delivery and at his value, he's still an option there. But I'd be worried about their goals conceded, even though they've had a clean sheet, or I think is it 2 now, but I'd be a little bit worried about them defensively. On the other side for Cardiff, it's tough to recommend any of them. I mean, Romeo's getting well forward, but with the 2 or 3 losses they've had defensively, I'm not sure about them now. But O'Dowda certainly looked bright going the other way. He's the one I would say if you're going to have one because of his price.
You definitely did enjoy that game, didn't you, Angus?
Yeah, it's actually quite good.
Dan, anything to add on what Angus has said there?
I don't think so.
No.
I will say something, just the fact that Wilson still didn't get in the team at right wing back.
No, it was Scott.
Scott moved there, so I'm pretty sure no one owns him anymore, but I thought he would have started.
What do you think of that as for Scott owners? Like playing right wing back in that game, do you think that's a potential issue or just a one-off?
I think Sykes is going to be first choice there, but obviously he got suspended against Luton, so I think he's still. I can't remember if are Bristol City in the Carling Cup tonight, Carabao Cup.
Carling Cup.
I don't know. I'll have a look at some point about whether he's still suspended. But I mean,
yeah, it was a 3-match ban, so he might only have 1 game week left. But yeah, no, like going forward, there's not been an issue with Bristol City for the last 2 seasons. So Vyman's staying firmly in my side.
Yeah, I mean, Scott still looked good getting forward from right wing back, so that might actually be a good thing for owners while he's there. Although he did spend the whole game trying to get booked for like kicking people, so that's the one downside.
Ran, next game then. QPR 1, Rotherham 1. The Ogbene train is still steaming forwards. Dan, what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, so 1-1. What I found interesting was Rotherham are doing quite well. Away from home, they're picking up points, a couple of draws. Abene, as you said, did score. For QPR, Laird and Powell were the fullbacks, and Willock started again. So that's two starts, 2 goals for Willock. Good assist by Chair. So I think we know how important Willock is to this QPR side. It's obviously they don't want to rush him back and him to get injured again, but he's easily one of the best players in the league when he is fit and available. So I think you guys are both on Chair, weren't you?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's an easy keep at the minute, I think.
He's doing well, Cherries, but he's frustrating. He'll have like a big score and then he'll get nothing. Then the next week it's a big score. So, but I'm not going to moan at that. You know, it's probably similar to like Jed Wallace is in, but he's taking over at a more cautious rate. That doesn't even make sense. That was a wrong word. Angus, you're normally good with words. Which word should I have used then?
Understated.
We'll go with that. Understated. Yeah. But yeah, happy with Chair. Willock, obviously, I'll have my eye on, but like you say, I think they'll ease him back in. I think it's definitely worth waiting a couple of weeks on. Rotherham, Angus, obviously, Ogbene is doing really well still. He's still at the club, which is a good thing. We've only got 2 more game weeks to go. Anybody else, though, that's caught your eye at Rotherham?
Not really. I mean, Ogbene caught my eye sitting first sub for me this week. That was lovely.
Yeah, same as me.
But no, I mean, Barlasser seems to be creating chances, but I'm not sure I'd go with him. And while he's looking good, still might be leaving. There's rumours linking him with a move away, so I'd wait and see on them in terms of other options.
What about defensively? Because I started with Kyoso. I think the impression is they were going to be quite good defensively, and they have been. I don't know what option to go for. They seem to be bringing on changing the wing backs at about 60 and 70 as well. So that's not ideal.
Yeah, I mean, I was toying around with the idea of an overhaul because, as stated at the start, my team is stupid. And I was looking at Johansson potentially in goal. That's probably the way I would go with it.
Yeah.
At least I got one finger right then, maybe, by having Johansson myself. Yeah. That's about it. Anything else on these 2 sides before we move on?
QPR fullbacks, probably decent options still.
Okay, short and sweet. I like that. Reading 1, Middlesbrough 0. So this is an interesting one because, especially for myself, who's on a double Borough defence, I watched them against us, and I know they conceded 2, but my God, were they good? And it's probably similar to FPL, where people have got Trent and Robertson at the moment. They're not quite getting the points. What do we do with the Middlesbrough defenders here?
Personally, I'm not worried. I think, Dan likes to wind me up with the sort of like they need to defend better. But I mean, you look at this game. I think it was, I know you've already criticised XG, but I think Reading had 0.34 XG in this game. And they get the goal from, fair play to Forner. It's a great finish. but how many times does that shot actually go in?
Yeah.
That's sort of the
No, it's
thing
the
that's
other
happening to
games I've
them
been
at the
winding up.
moment. The Stoke game, the first goal, it's
Oh.
almost certainly a foul, for the first goal, and basically the last man gets caught, probably fouled, and all of a sudden Stoke are in. That sort
But
of
then
thing.
they did let a 3-foot guy score an header in the box, so
Yes,
so that is bad defending on their part.
But yeah, there's a few of the goals where you sort of look at it and it's sort of like they're clearly sort of in a run of bad luck. Even going back to the QPR game, they have the goal where Willock manages to dribble 2 or 3 of their defenders and then still score from outside the box, and a goal where the keeper just misses it on a corner. So it's clearly not quite going right for them at the moment. My favourite stat I saw the other day was they have as many points as refereeing apologies. So that probably sums up perfectly how it's going for them at the moment. It's just not going quite right.
I think as well, it's a bit of bad luck as well. I think if they had anyone else other than Watmore up front, Giles could have had 2 or 3 assists this season.
Yeah, we go
Big
back to the
chances
Watmore
missed.
miss against West Brom. The chances in every game that he's creating in particular, and it's hard to see how he's on so few points.
Yeah, it's one of them where I agree with you, Angus. I'm not worried about Middlesbrough. I think it will click and they'll be great assets all season. But at the point where I'm ranked 2.6k and they're not getting me points, it's quite frustrating, and I don't want it to be, when we get to the end of the first set of boosts and I'm like, I shouldn't have held on to double Borough for so long. Is this going to be my regret of the season? But equally I could come off and then that could be my regret. So I'm in a bit of a tricky situation. Dan, your thoughts on Middlesbrough and Middlesbrough defensively?
So it's a bit different for me. I only have Jones, so I'm not moving on the double up at the minute until they have a stable back line. He keeps changing it every week, which probably ain't helping. Need to sort out the midfield as well. There's no rush for me to get on double defense. Not saying that I won't later on, but at the minute, there's plenty of other options who are keeping clean sheets and getting attacking return.
Okay, and then quickly on Reading, then obviously it's a good win for them at home. Pretty decent start to the season, I must say. Surprised a lot of us. Anything from a Gaffr point of view? Obviously, we know Buzani started in goal because Lumley was ineligible. Do you think, I know you spoke about it over the last couple of weeks, you do think he's eventually going to get that number 1 spot? Do you think that's going to be now, or do you still think Lumley comes back in for the next game?
I think Lumley comes back in. Just on that, I think it would be great if the people on Sky Sports News sort of did 5 minutes research. They were saying that Lumley must be injured because he wasn't in the lineup. So
oh wow,
That's so bad.
And literally on the team news that Reading posted, it was the first sentence, like, Joe Lumley is out due to being ineligible. So it's just like, but no, I think Lumley probably comes back in. I think the big thing there is Buzanis has come in. He's kept a clean sheet. He saved the few chances that came at him. Apparently, looked very sort of good, sort of claiming the ball, distribution, that sort of thing. So I think Lumley probably comes back in. But the problem now, if he has another howler, is Buzanis has shown what he's capable of in a real game, like not in a pre-season game, in an actual league game. So I think it's probably created a situation where Lumley's on a really short leash, where if he has one more howler, he might be out of the team.
Okay. Right, next game then. Preston 0, Watford 0, Dan. Will Preston ever concede?
Yeah, because I'm bringing in Robbie Brady.
Oh, everyone is Keith, then you're bringing him in now. I've already got him. Angus, have you got him? Morgan, bring him in.
I haven't got him. I've considered bringing him in. I'm not sure whether it's going to be another Maatsen for me, though.
Yeah, no, he's to be fair, he's been great for me. I think it's 3 weeks I've owned him now, and obviously no complaints. They're keeping clean sheets. Nobody else from Preston is appealing to me. Anybody appealing to any of you two?
Well, I've got Parrot, who just doesn't do anything. But
For those of you who joined our sort of very enjoyable spaces last week,
I've
we
missed this
hope to
joke
do
because
more of
obviously I
those this
didn't make
season. I was very sort of determined. I think I said Troy Parrott is never going to score this season. He's great at getting XG. He's really not very good at putting it in the goal. So yeah, he doesn't interest me at all.
And Watford's a bit of a tricky one at the moment, aren't we? Because João Pedro looks like he's going to Newcastle. Dennis is obviously gone. Saw nearly went to Villa. That looks like it's off at the moment.
Yeah.
But, I was so close after, I think, game week 1 or 2 of just bringing in Dennis and Saw and Pedro. I could have had a triple up at one point, but I knew the risk that they might go. What do we do with Watford now? Like, you're surely not going to go on to Saw now, are you?
No. If he's still there come the end of the window, we might be formulating plans to get on him quite quickly.
He'll be my first transfer. If he's there, as soon as that deadline goes, I'll make the move straight away. No questions asked. He's coming straight in.
Yeah. Apart from that, it's tough at the moment.
what about Asprilla?
Yeah, but he's feeding. I mean, did you see? He put in a great ball to put Manai in 1-on-1, and I think he would have missed 2 goals with his finish, 1-on-1. If he's in the team, I mean, Bayo doesn't look much better. If he's playing up front, Keenan Davis, I'm still not convinced on how good in terms of a goal scorer Keenan Davis actually is. If he's feeding guys that can't score, I think he looked very good, and he's sort of one that I would probably have an eye on. But if he's feeding guys that can't score, it's probably not much use.
But then there's that rumor of Cameron Archer coming in. Now that would be
although that was apparently maybe part of what ended the Sarr deal. So
yeah, Archer would be one to look at if he win. But I think for now, just wait for this window close on Watford and just see what they do. Last 2 games then, Stoke 0, Sunderland 1, Angus. Obviously, Stewart got the goal. That's 3 goals and 2 assists for him now at 6.6 million. I'll be honest, I don't want to talk about Stoke because it won't be a PG pod if I go into Stoke. There's no assets there. Tymon's injured now for up to 6 weeks, so there's definitely no assets there. Powell's due back in about 2 weeks. I think he'll be ready for the Luton game, apparently. I've read today.
No, wait another game week.
Because he loves a reunion with Nathan Jones. So Stoke will just ignore and pretend they don't exist, which I wish I could do. And Sunderland, obviously, Stewart will grab the headlines from a Gaffr point of view. Your thoughts on Sunderland?
Yeah, I mean, I looked at Stewart sort of 2 or 3 weeks ago. I made the genius move of buying Adebayo because I thought they were playing Bristol City, and that was a great way to cure his sort of goal-scoring ills. I don't think he even had a shot on target in the game against Bristol City of all teams, so that went well. But yeah, I think he's clearly sort of, you wonder sometimes with players from League One whether they're going to make the step up. I saw so many people before the season, is he Clark Harris all over again?
That was me. I was one of them.
Clearly not. That's one conclusion we can draw. We can draw in the first 5 game weeks. He's clearly not another Clark Harris. Good hold up play, good all around play, and if he gets a chance, I mean, we can talk about Bursik's crisp packet wrists, but he's doing a decent job of putting the ball in the goal so far. When he
could have had a couple as well on Saturday. He had the one where Sims has put him in, and he's kind of come in and tried to kill it in far post. He's had that one as well, I remember. But yeah, I think I probably should have gone Stewart.
Yeah, although I do like Sims. I think Sims is a good player as well.
I think I really like Sims. I thought he was really, really good. He's strong, powerful, quick, everything you want in a striker. But I feel like it'll be Stewart who will get the most returns.
Yeah.
So I apologize to Dan for not listening to you. I
I didn't listen to myself because I brought in Parrot. But...
I tried to go off all the stats and XG stuff, and Sims' numbers were really good for the short amount of time that he played. So I thought I'll be that one guy who goes there early, and I'm not regretting it yet. I'm not looking to sell him yet because he did look really good, and he did have chances himself that he probably should have scored. So he'll hold for a few weeks. But yeah, Sunderland, I thought decent mid-table side.
Well,
they'll get some good results.
What did Pritchard play like? Because I'm debating selling him this week.
Yeah, so am I. He was useless. I forgot he was playing, Dan. Yeah, I forgot he was playing. It was a weird game, though, to be fair. Obviously, that's the first time I've watched Sunderland for 90 minutes this season. So it was an end-to-end game, really. He wasn't involved in a lot. They were playing a lot on the counter-attack, so using Sims's presence, really, and pace to get him behind. So it was hard to tell on Pritchard, Sims and Stewart, but I thought Sunderland were decent. They'll get some results this season. I think they picked up about 6 yellow cards, tactical fouls. Yeah, really impressed. So Pritchard, I'd start if I didn't have so many issues. So I'm happy to keep him for a little bit longer. Should we go on to the last game?
Yeah.
I've got nothing to say about this one. Birmingham 0, Wigan 1. Angus. No, sorry, Dan, I've come to see you on this one. Dan, this one's your game.
Lucky me. Yeah. The main talking point was Wigan went down to 10 men quite early on for a foul that was never a foul, and somehow the ref gave this. And Birmingham struggled to break Wigan down, and they then brought on White and Broadhead up front, and they combined nicely and for Broadbent to score. He done quite well at Sunderland last year, but injuries played a part. But he's a good finisher, so yeah, if he gets in the team, and if he can stay fit, I think he could be an option. But he's at 6 million. There's loads of players around that, but yeah, I'm not after too many of players, and I would target Birmingham, I think.
Angus, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the red card was never a red card, and it's actually been overturned today. So
yeah,
so Bennett will be back. Jutkovic is a big man, but it was a very ungainly dive, and the ref bought it. But yeah, I mean, I still think McLean is potentially a decent option, but otherwise, I wouldn't be rushing to anyone from these teams.
I've got McLean, but I'd be happy with him as like my fifth midfielder. Yeah. But at the moment, he's turned into like my third midfielder, which isn't ideal.
Yeah, you want him as your fourth or fifth, depending on whether you're playing sort of a 4-3-3 or 3-4-3 or whatever. You maybe want him as sort of that flexible option with your fourth defender or something. You don't want him sort of as one of your main midfielders.
That's where I'm at the moment, because I've got Swift and Cher. Obviously, my main midfielders. We've got McLean, Pritchard, and Hedges. So yeah, that's probably where I'm going wrong so far. I'm learning quite a lot from this podcast. It's quite clear how busy I've been over the last 2 weeks that my team get like this. But that basically wraps up the game. So shall we get into some questions to finish us off?
Let's do it.
We've got quite a few questions here, so we'll go quick fire, and I'll come to one of you for each question. So I'll start with you, Dan. Chris Hermitage has put, what teams can be trusted, just how good is Chris Willock, and should we all get on double press in defence so they finally concede a goal?
So I'm struggling to find a team to be trusted. To be honest, it's been all over the place, weren't it? I think it's more about going on certain players, like key players, um, talisman for each team. I've tried to pick players that have done it before in the championship, whether it's been last season or the last time they were in the league. So yeah, I've not really been focusing too much on teams. It's more the players really. But obviously Willock is good. We've already mentioned that. And I'm not sure about double Preston, but I'm getting Brady in, and so he's bound to concede this week or get injured.
Oh, please don't get injured, honestly. I can't be dealing with that. It's like the left back curse that would be for me. Do not need that in my life. Angus, your question, I'll give you two because they're from the same person. Our person with a favourite name is Shilabadababe. Best away days defenders, he already has Robertson, Aarons. So I don't know what week he's playing it.
I assume it's this week because this is the popular week for it. So which two did he already have? Aarons and
Roberts.
Well, I mean, we've mentioned him a few times already. Robbie Brady away at Cardiff jumps out.
Yeah.
Potentially someone like Darnell Furlong as well.
Okay, and the last part of the question, is a -4 to get Chair out on away days worth it? And if so, who would you get?
If it means you get 11 away players for away days, then I'd do it. Because I think the most important thing with away days is sort of maximising it. A -4 into away days, I think, is fine. Anything more than that, I begin to question. If you're getting rid, I mean, again, the West Brom guys we talked about, depending on how many of them you have from him, probably the easiest route is Diangana, who I think is a good option for it. Maybe one of the Norwich guys, Nunez or Cenani.
Okay. Dan, your question, it's from John Jacobson. What game will... I should have read this first. What game will Stoke win again? Is Nick Powell alive? Cheers, John.
Oh, this is probably inspired by that question, by that comment from the Spaces about whether Callum O'Hare actually exists. Who Stoke got? Blackburn, Swansea, Reading, Luton. Oh, they'll win against Swansea. There you go. There's your win.
Yeah, it'll probably be Luton. Luton will be the first game we win.
Probably, yeah.
and like Nick Powell will be back hopefully in about 2 weeks' time. I can't wait to see him run around the pitch again. I really can't. Right, Angus FPL Buddy has asked, which players has disappointed you the most apart from Pookie and Brereton Diaz?
Ian Maatsen.
Yeah, it's a strong shout after that. Real strong shout.
Yeah, I mean, this week, all of them.
I think the Borough defenders, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're a good shout. And I think actually the Swansea Pirro, because Obafemi's actually returned.
Yeah, Pirro.
Obafemi's actually got a couple of returns, but Pirro, I think we had quite high hopes for him coming into the season, and we were all talking about the good early run of fixtures they had, and he's come out of it with absolutely nothing. So yeah.
Right, Dan, FPL _Coke FPL Coke 0. I've seen some mad FPL names, but wow, that's a rubbish name. Like Coke Zero is horrendous. It is disgusting. That in Diet Coke is filthy. He or she has asked, is it viable to hold and bench Maatsen through the suspension? It would probably cost me -8 to take him out and get him straight back again. which not sure it's worth it. So we kind of briefly discussed it, didn't we? But a -8, that's a bit extreme, isn't it?
I think if you've got 4 good players apart from Maatsen, defenders apart from Maatsen, I think I'd just bench him.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't take a -8. Darren, auto reclose for you, Angus. Well, it's an actual question, not a sarcastic question.
Wow.
That's all I see on Twitter from Darren. Just sarcastically replying to people all the time. It's brilliant. Which is best value for money attacker from West Brom? Diangana, Swift, Wallace, or Grant?
At the moment, it's Diangana, just because he's returning well and much cheaper than the others. So at the moment, it's Diangana.
Okay, and then Dan, the FPL will never stop. Right, okay. He's asked a question on the back of that. He's got 0 West Brom players. Who's the best attacker to get in regardless of money?
That's tricky. It's probably Wallace, I think. But because I started with Swift and the way my team was structured, it made more sense to get in Grant. And I think Grant, if he is first choice, will score a lot of goals. Hopefully, anyway. But I think Wallace will just tick over, I think.
Okay. Next one is from Liam Crow, Angus. It's not a question. He's answering one of them as a West Brom fan. The cheek of it. They're asking us questions, not him. Seeing your lane, Liam. This guy hasn't got a name. Well, he has, but it's in Arabic or something. He's put he was the best alternative for me. Buki. I think he means Pookie.
Yeah.
Who's the best alternative to Pookie?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, it might be Carl Grant. Might be Josh Sargent. I might just go, like, if I were them, I might just go all the way down to someone like Ross Stewart. But if you don't want to completely change the structure of your team, I'd probably say Carl Grant.
Okay. Dan, E77MCG. Best captains this week, who out of Brereton, Vyman, or Wallace?
Brereton, Vyman.
I need to see who they're actually playing.
Yeah, that's true.
Brereton's playing Stoke.
There you go.
Vyman's playing Blackpool.
Ooh.
And Grant is playing Huddersfield.
Oh, that is 3 good fixtures.
It's got to be Brereton. Wallace, it's got to be the Stoke boy against Stoke.
Yeah, he is actually from Stoke.
He said Wallace though, didn't he? Not Grant.
Either way.
Wallace, yeah.
I think Vyman's the best shout.
I'm still going with the Stoke boy against Stoke.
I'm going to say Vyman as well. I'm not. No, not Blackburn. If it's anyone else, maybe against Stoke, but I'm not going to have that one. Whose question is it now? Yours, Angus, since this is from Ron Merkagy, FPL _Ronnie. After 5 game weeks, have your boost strategies changed at all? For example, away days in game week 6. Part of the buzz also seems risky, as the so-called big teams look shaky.
Yeah, it has changed. Originally, I thought I was going to go away days game week 6. I'd actually already moved away from that idea. I'm quite glad now because of having the likes of Maatsen, who wouldn't have been playing, but so it has changed in that regard. But otherwise, I hadn't sort of set in stone when I was going to play them, so that's the only change for me, really.
Okay, and you actually get the next question, Angus, because it says directly to you. Chris Few has put, as Angus, relinquished on his Robbie Brady hate now that he's a top defender in the game by miles. And Jamie must be proud of his second team. I didn't realise what he was on about at first, and then I clicked in Preston.
Yeah.
I'll let you answer first, Angus.
No, I might get him in under protest, but no, I still think he's any minute going to get a hamstring injury.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm not proud of Preston still. There's still that team I don't like.
One goal scored, none conceded.
That was against Luton, and it was a worldie from bad Potts.
The Potts managing to get that high off the ground.
Yeah, standard Preston. Right, Dan, I'll come to you then. FPL_ Oil Money has asked, why is Sander Berg being overlooked? He's the best player in that Sheffield United team, and he cost just 7 million. So you talked about it briefly, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's not entirely sure he's going to be there after the transfer window, and there's a high chance he plays alongside Norwood instead of one of the 10s. And also NDI is just 0.5 more than him.
Okay. Angus Mark Beckley Draws has asked, this is my first season playing Gaffr. Do you need 11 players playing away days to get the most out of the chip? He currently has 7 playing away in game week 6.
Well, it's a boost, not a chip.
Yeah, I didn't even notice that. I normally notice that straight away. Yeah. Yeah, get it right, Mark.
I know last year we sort of said 10 because we were like, you didn't want to leave Mitrovic out. Even if he was playing at home, he could outscore most of the away players. I'm not sure that's the case with anyone this season. Ideally, you would have 11 to play it. I think, to me, the absolute minimum to have is 9. If you don't have 9 or more, you're wasting it.
Yeah, so get back to the drawing board, Mark. I think you might need to postpone that for a few weeks. But then again,
if you can take a -4 to get to 9, that's
I think
so
-4 is okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Last one then, Dan. George FPR. After 5 captain blanks in a row, at what point do you think F it and captain Freddie Woodman? But seriously, their best captain options this week.
I think we mentioned it, didn't we? Vyman, one of the West Brom lads, or Brereton Diaz.
Yeah, I think definitely agree. And that's a wrap on the questions, and that's probably a wrap on the podcast, isn't it? How long have we been going for, Angus?
Good question. 1 hour and 18 minutes.
It's under an hour and a half.
Yeah.
So that'll do.
Even with my whole sort of 90-minute review of the Bristol City Cardiff game.
Yeah, we could have done a separate podcast just on that one. But yeah, that is a wrap. Anything that we need to inform the listeners about ahead of game week 6?
No.
No, I don't think there is. Any plans for Spaces this week? I'm not sure if I can. I will be more engaged soon. It's really hard at the moment, but Litland's cricket season is coming to the end now. And I had my final on Sunday, so it's just been hectic. But I can finally concentrate again. So we'll let everyone go. Thank you for listening. Anyone who's playing away days this week, I wish you the worst luck possible because I need to catch up with some people now. I'll probably talk to Angus and Dan for about another hour now off camera and decide if I'm going to overall because I've realised my team is in such a mess. But yeah, thank you for listening and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.